6 men and 6 women. It would have also increased the number of women, but it didn't go through because of the fact that it was caught up in the politics of the day. So basically, yes, we need that representation, and it is important that also we don't just talk about the issue of quantity, but the quality of representation, because numbers alone are important in the democratic process, because politics is a game of numbers. However, quality also matters. What is the role of a legislator in the county assembly, in the National Assembly? Are you able to bring motions that are beneficial to your people? Are you able to bring on board, debates and pieces of legislation that are beneficial to people? So you'd ask, so what did you do yourself when you were in Parliament? I would be very glad to tell you, for example, through a petition that I brought to Parliament. That is why we have the Directorate of Special Needs Education at the Ministry of Education. That is work that I was able to do. I was able to use my position as a member of the Budget and Appropriations Committee to increase funding on disability to the National Council for Persons with Disabilities and to schools. And I was also able to ensure that persons with disabilities retire at the age of 65. That was my legislation, and also to equate Kenya Sign Language to English and Kiswahili in areas of examination and other areas of equivalence. That again was my legislation, and amongst others. In fact, I think in the Senate, I had the highest number of legislations, and my PA Minda is here, I will tell you. So it's important for people to see the value, so that then the only thing that you do is not just about disability, because that is an entry point. You don't just wake up and the only thing people see is disability. And my journey has been, that is what people used to attack me a lot about, and they still do even today, by the way. So you'll be attacked based on your body and how it looks like. So I keep on hearing people kwa social media, wewe tumekuachia jua. Ni sawa, jua iko kwa kila mtu. But now they see you as a leader, and they have been able to debate. Sometimes when you are nominated, they think like you are just there to fill in the slots. But then when you are so effective, people tend even to imagine you are even elected. I remember sometimes people think I have actually been a member of parliament for Roiro. Yeah, I get you are my former member of parliament. And I've never been elected in Roiro. I only have attempted twice unsuccessfully. Why? Because I had this larger than life presence. And I'm telling you this as an example, not to brag, but to tell you. Then you go you become a subject matter expert. There was a time, this issue of public debt, was very high. People were debating. And of course, I had become a subject matter on public debt because it was also part of what I had studied for my postgraduate. So when some media house, I think it was KTN, was looking for comments from experts, they came for me and Musalia Mudavadi and John Badi, the current minister, that kind of thing. So that then you are not just there, that you are only seen to be representing those that you are. That is an entry behavior. Disability becomes like the marks you get to go to high school, or you are great to go to university. But after that, you represent persons with disabilities, because if you don't, then you'll have already forsaken your people. By the way, you gain a lot of respect when you champion for the cause of your people. We were 12 nominated members of parliament in the National Assembly, and there are people that were not able to champion the causes upon which they were nominated. If you are a youth, they were never even remembered for anything. So you must be the Mr. or Miss Disability in that house. People must know that watu usiguze hawa. But at the same time, don't just be every time you open your mouth, disability. You become boring like a broken record. And then people switch off because they already can predict. Let people see value in what you do. So I was in the Budget and Appropriations Committee, and I can tell you I was a very effective member. In fact, I was awarded because I was able to push for something that was to help persons with disabilities cross the Wayaki Way there. And then also you rise. By the time I was in the Senate, I was the vice chair actually of the Budget and Appropriations Committee because of that expertise. And also I was ranked as the best in devolution matters in the National Assembly, and ended up in the devolution committee in the Senate. And also I became a member of the Speaker's panel, presiding over the Senate. In fact, the first person with disability to preside over the Senate, and of course you can say Parliament, both houses, because it has never happened before. And I hope and believe this can be possible, that at some point also we shall have a wheelchair user being sitting there where the speaker sits. You know? Yeah. There. You know? So, and for me, because of my sight problems, I had to move my chair closer so that I can see the screen. It had to be adjusted. Usishangae hapo ukiongea hii maneno. You know, and I was also able, also another thing that I also want to tell about representation, I was the one who introduced the debates, Senate carrying its debates in Kiswahili. You get the point? I became the expert. In fact, when they were now amending their standing, they were translating the standing orders into Kiswahili, it's only myself and Senator Agnes Zani were actually called to work with the professors from various universities. What am I trying to say in short? Yes, we don't have representation in 24 counties. We need to change the legislation. But also, not just the numbers, the quality must also be there so that people can count you when they are counting people who can be seen as leaders and who can make change in society. If you remain just bemoaning the misadventure and misfortunes of disability, then you have not outgrown that. Yet, you are first among equals amongst our tribe of disability. Because when you have been given the privileged position to actually represent others, it is very rare. I feel very privileged that God has given me an opportunity to be an MP, to be a senator, and not to be the government spokesperson. In fact, even before, Madam Moderator, I was also appointed as Chief Administrative Secretary. Why? Somebody will ask you, and maybe this is my kicker for this first round. Kwa nini Mwaura akuwe ndiye ananominatiwa National Assembly, tenda Senate, people also know where to find value. When I was being given this position of government spokesperson, I never went to look for it. No, I never lobbied for it. Let me tell you today, I never did. But people sat somewhere and said, amongst the CASs that we have appointed and the courts have declared that seemed unconstitutional, who is the one person who can represent and argue and defend government? They said Isaac Mwaura. Why? Because he's very articulate. He can speak very fluently in English and Kiswahili. And what have you? Then, wakaanza kusema, oh, no, we don't need street, tribal, and regional balance. Then they said, no, Mwaura is a Mudhungu. Yeah, hana hiyo maneno. So you see, they also you brand yourself. When I went to run for Ruiru, I realized that there was a challenge of being called Arubino. Unajua the way you pronounce it. I can see my brother Aseka, who is there representing you in CAF. I had to come up with a name that would make me sellable to the people. So, si tunaitwa wazungu. Like I make it local. Say Mudhungu, Waruiru. Because you must also belong somewhere. You see, so people think I walk around with Ruiru as in my hand because I am the Mudhungu of Ruiru. So you have to find a way of branding yourself for acceptability. And I'll also use the example of my brother David Olesankok. And I wish he would also been invited. You see the way he wears his green clothes and what have you. He has been able to stand out. And I can tell you, even in his community of the Maasai, he's a voice that can be listened to. So what am I trying to say? Disability is our entry point. We must argue our case for persons with disabilities. We must carry with them. There must be something we must show you. But we must also remember that we too are leaders just like any other person. Thank you.
I think we need a stronger clap. That was a very, very, very powerful. As of if there was an exam we were doing, amewapatia inaitwaje? Mwakenya yote. So I hope we are learning and celebrating this. And honestly, I will challenge you. I don't know if you've done a personal book, a biography, but we need to be able to document these stories. I do remember in my past life, there was an effort to document the stories of women in leadership. Maybe borrowing that idea is to document, because how many of you are impressed by Honorable Mwaura? How many? Mikono singeenda juu kwa sababu tumekula lunch. So, as I said, let us not stay in that box for 5 years. Turudi tena tunaenda kwa hiyo box. He has gone places, he has influenced in different spaces, and it's because mumeenda shule, mumesoma, you've worked elsewhere. Your life does not change because you are now a person who is representing disability issues in parliament. You have been existing before. So I find that a very powerful note. Thank you so much. Honorable Maneno, tatuambia gani? You can.
Oh, yes, it is working. Thank you. My full names, I'm Kennedy Maneno. I'm elected MCA from a place called Kathonzweni. I represent the people. I was elected on a wiper ticket. And when I was elected, I was given the position of Chair Finance and Socioeconomic Planning. That is my area. And the reason why I wanted to be in that. So I was saying when I was elected, I was appointed as the Chair Finance and Socioeconomic Planning in the Makueni County Assembly. Since I was also elected on a wiper ticket, I was given the position of Deputy Majority Whip. Now, this is where the story started. I didn't know whether I will get elected. I never even had that in mind. But sometimes back from 2019, I started engaging myself into community empowerment projects, programs, attending, not even attending, because I think as elected members or as leaders, your entry point matters a lot. How you introduce yourself to the people, it really matters a lot. Is it through attending Arambis? Or is it through handouts? Mine, I did not do those, but I started small programs, and I chose two categories in my society. That is the women who are widowed, wanawake wajane, and the youth. I ran with those two, and those are the people who brought me, who gave me power. So I could, that time I was working in Mombasa. I've worked in Mombasa for doing taxation as an accountant. I've been in Mombasa, and I could do like 3 or 4 activities in a year. So when I come home in Makueni, I would take like 3 or 4 groups of women. I give them 2 mbuzi, 2 goats, each, and then I call one person from a local media station. He does the thing. And then the story would start. One, Benedict Kennedy Maneno, who is generous leader. Today, he has done this to the groups. And that is how I started. Then from there, I also involved myself with the youth. I could do many tournaments, especially during holidays, because that was not happening in my ward. And also the youth made it very easy for me to be elected. So when I was elected as a Chair Finance and Socio-Economic Planning in Makueni County, first of all, I started lobbying for other members to ensure that now we put a budget for PWDs. And that is, we started immediately myself. I was the first person to start budget in 2022-2023, supplementary budget. We put money to give some wards assistive devices. Now the second year, that is 2023-2024, I mobilized all the wards to ensure that we put money for PWD assessment and mapping. You know, when we don't have the correct data. And for any county to have the correct data, need to come up with the initiative of mapping and assessment of their PWDs. You cannot rely on the one for United Bureau Statistics. You cannot rely on that one. So we did ours. I was able now to know all my PWD, their needs, their names, the village they come from, everything. So today I have that. And so whatever the budgeting we are doing that budgeting with a target. We know we have this PWD, these are their needs. So that one was very successful. Then 2023, I was given the award of being the best performing MCA in Makueni County. Out of 48 MCAs, I was given that award. I did not interfere with the awarding. I never even knew when they came to my ward. I just got the certificate from someone on WhatsApp. He told me I'm from Polestar Rankings. We did survey during this month, and in Makueni County, you are the one who has highest high marks in all the categories that we looked at. And also, when they looked at Machakos County and Kitui County in Ukambani, I also ranked the best. So that really motivates me. And what I can say is this, members, so that we can influence the budget for PWDs, both for elected, nominated, and our people who we represent, we should and we must encourage that many of PWDs are elected, not just nominated, are elected, so that we can lobby seriously with power. When we do that, and you see, the challenges we are facing, and Hi Sakamora is good now you are here, many challenges we are facing with the PWD going for elective position. One is financial constraint. I wish we had grants or funding opportunities for people like these members who want to vie for these. Apart from, you know, there is that stigma, the social stigma is there. We are seen as if we have no capacity, but that is not the case. We have the capacity, and we are able, and we are good leaders than even them. So mine is just to, for now, let me just stop there. But finally, let me say that a lobbying of resources and lobbying for everything has to start from the public participation, from the people. When in 2023, I decided to purchase a backhoe. A backhoe is a machine that is used to grade small roads and do excavation of small dams, excavation of water ponds in my ward. I'm the only ward that has purchased a machine. And it was not easy. People were asking, Maneno, what are you telling us? How will our ward be able to? But through the people I represent, I was able to lobby them, and I think that is the reason why I was given the award as the best performing. Thank you very much.
Just a bit, Honorable Maneno, are you asking members to try and raise funds for personal projects?
No, what I'm saying is members who want to go for elective position, you need an entry point. And the best entry point, I've said, involve yourself with community programs and initiatives. You don't need to spend your own money. The idea really changes lives. You have to start somewhere, and we need to encourage many more. We have 24 wards which are not represented. That is something we should be worrying about. Thank you.
I like that, assessment and mapping, and it's also good to leverage with the existing institutions.
Yes.
Not to dry your resources.
Yes.
But this is good because this is taking us to the special kind of presentation.
Yes.
I think, Honorable Maura, earlier we were told that some counties say they do not have access to the census data, which I found a bit odd. But I'm happy to hear, you know, you as Honorable Maneno, you are even doing the geospatial analysis, spatial mapping. I think we just need to take that bold step. What you are all showing so far is you stand up and just take leadership.
Can I say something?
Yes.
This is what I want to say, and Maura is here. Maura, the challenges we are facing at the county government level is that even you have had members passed the Disability Act long time ago. They also passed the policies long time ago, but this has not been implemented. Why are they not implementing this act? It is because they don't want to fund. And you, like, for example, Makueni County, our Disability Act provides for establishment of a county disability board. A county disability board should take care of everything that involves disabilities in the entire county. So when not every governor can do that, but I'm telling you, Makueni County will do it because we have a good governor called Mutula Kalonzo Jr. That one will ensure that the disability board is in place so that it can take care of all issues of disability, including employment, representation, and everything in the county. And I will also want to encourage members, if that Disability Act has not been implemented, raise statement on the floor. Raise statement on the floor and demand answers. They will do it. Thank you.
I think before we come to, maybe, because you mentioned severally, I want to tell you something about elections. We had a policy within UDA that persons with disabilities will not be charged any amount of money to run for the nominations. And by the way, over 300 persons with disabilities showed up to be, they were able to contest. Some of you, I think you are here. And what was very interesting, majority of them came number 2 or 3. Let's clap for ourselves for that, because I was very, very touched by the fact that that shows we are going somewhere. Yes. So as my brother is saying here, we need to have more and more people volunteering to and offering themselves for election. Yes. But what was interesting is the way in which I was being called by certain members of parliament that I was serving with that time, telling me to tell a fellow person with disability to step down because they did not deserve to be elected. Ati asipeleke maneno kotini. So, Madam Moderator, there is that thinking in the society that people with disabilities do not deserve to be elected. And it's very, very ingrained. And people feel like you are a bother. Wewe unakuja kuitisha nini? For the 2 times that I have run to be member of parliament for Ruiru, wanakuwa kisema hapana, wacha Mwaura atakuwa nominated tena. And true to it, I get nominated. Yes. Wanasema, wachana na Mwaura, amesoma sana, yeye ni msomi. Hii mambo ya huku ground, aachie hiyo ni kazi ndogo. So last election, I had a very interesting experience. I was doing very well in either being senator for Kiambu or MP for Ruiru. Both of them I was doing very well in opinion polls. But then because I had served in both houses, I said, I'm still young, let me go to the National Assembly, because at least there's a CDF kitty, I can do things for people, rather than just talking. But you know what people said? Watu wanakuwa kijaji. Asema hapana, huyu Mwaura hii kiti ya MP ni ndogo kwake. You went for a small seat. So there is a contradiction there, and we can only address it when we are seated here as people with disabilities. Yes. So on one hand, people are debating whether you deserve to be a leader because you are a person with disability. But on the other, they can also see you are more gifted than whoever that they are offering. Are you seeing that challenge? Yes. So they would go for a lower quality person because they are used to. Yes. He reflects like them. He feels like them. You get, eh? So you become this outsider. You become this outsider. And you must be able to deal with that contradiction. Because it may make you to be minimalist. Now you underestimate. I don't know at what point you'll hear and please listen to me, because I'm saying very deep things here that may not be, you need to be on high level of awareness to understand what I'm trying to say. You need to know when you are not caged by your own sense of disability, niende hii ndogo yangu nitashika, to when people can appreciate that you are actually a leader, that they see you beyond your disability. So, umenielewa hapo? So that then you don't miss opportunities as a result. I would want to bet, had I gone for Senate of Kiambu, I would have won it with a landslide. Yes. Are we together? Yes. Because even the president himself had told me, Mwaura chukua hii kiti. So there's a way. This is a debate. I'm being honest because we are brothers and sisters. Number 2, just to support what my Mheshimiwa hapa amesema, when I went for Ruiru, you don't go there and just say, mimi ni mlemavu, nichaguliwe. If we are not honest with you, we will be lying. The first time nilitembea, niliambiwa mimi ni tasa, siwezi kazaa. I am barren.
So you need thick skin.
Watu kama hawa hawazai. But Mungu ni mzuri. When we got pregnant, we had triplets. Wakasema hii ni mbegu nzuri, jaribu hapa. You get, eh? Haya, then they will call you names. Sema hii ni nguruwe, sijui ni, all kind of things. So you have to be very, very careful how you take that in. And you'll be dealing with what you call the hidden bias. Nobody will ever confess. But it's playing in the mind. And it has affected many people, including women, including black people in America. I've just come from, going through Benjamin Franklin, who was a slave owner and a slave seller, slave trader. But by the time he was finishing his course in life, he was actually a reformist. So because he was able to go to school and see that black people are as intelligent as they are. So it is for us to provide that evidence. It's not easy. Sometimes we have to pay the price. And that is why you also have to show that you're adding value to the community. How? By also having a program that people can associate you with. So what did I do in Roiro? Roiro is the second biggest constituency in the country with 490,000 people. Almost 200,000 voters. So very expensive to run there. For 2 elections, I've spent over 60 million. Yeah, I'm telling you so. So what does that mean? It means, it means that, number one, you have to be known for something. So I coined my name, Mwaura wa Mawera. Yes. Mwaura wa Mawera means Mwaura wa Kazi. Yes. So it's like a tongue twister. So I was able to help people get jobs. So that is what was selling me on the ground. Then you have programs. Like when I was running in 2017, I had a whole food distribution program. I was able to give over 22,000 food packages. Selling yourself in terms of, we can talk about that, I think, in another dispensation. But finally, as a pioneer, there's a dichotomy here. People think that we get nominated so that we can be elected. Are we together at that point? I want to say yes and no. Yes, because anyone can be elected because you deserve to be elected. And for me, had I not been nominated, I wouldn't have become a very strong candidate for MP Roiru. Yes. Right? That gave me a platform. Are we together? That's how people came to know me. It was even running for office that helped people to know me if those of you can remember the Kasarani Kisirani, the men in black. I think that's when people came to know me, when I stood on tables and made sure that I was not rigged. And the election was called off. But you are also serving a constituency that deserves to be represented now. So you are not an MCA for another term. You are the MCA right now. And I know those who are nominated, because they are the majority here, face discrimination within assembly. So you are given less privileges.
Yeah, that came out.
Isn't it? Yeah, you are told, the number of staff are fewer, the allowance is fewer. It is also in the National Assembly and the Senate, I tell you. But then, just like Moses of the Bible, hallelujah, praise God. You said you had them born again. What are you holding in your stick? Work with what you have. And serve your constituents now, even when you are timing to be elected. Why am I saying so? Si nimekuwa MP na nimekuwa senator nominated. Sasa mimi ni MP ama ni senator? I'll only be remembered for what I was doing that. Both times I was planning to be a mainstream single member constituency. I was not successful. So my tenure of 10 years can only be adjudged whether I represented persons with disabilities well as a constituency. So build a case. Because some of us, if we were to be fully well facilitated, you would rather represent persons with disabilities than going to become a ward rep. Kweli ama uongo? Because these are the people who concern you. So serve them now well. If you get elected, sawa, we need more people. But if you don't, you look back and say, when I was an MP, when I was a senator, when I was an MCA, for people with disabilities, I was able to serve that constituency. Also, in addition, when you are a pioneer, and some of you are pioneers here, this is the third county assembly, right? When you are a pioneer in many ways, maybe in your family, you become the breadwinner, you are even the person that the family is known about. Sometimes there are barriers that you're not able to overcome. Okay? So it is incumbent upon you to mentor other people who can take over after you, so that they can also overcome the barriers that you yourself may not have been able to do. I'll give you an example, and then I come to my personal. Martin Luther King Jr. dreamt of a day when black and white little children would hold hands together, right? Then he died. He was assassinated. Then Jesse Jackson ran as the first black person to run for president in America. Did he win? But did Barack Obama win? Yes. So can we also look ourselves at that point in time? That even at times when you don't succeed, you are creating room for others to be accepted. I knew that lesson very long. And two people who I mentored, and it's good I mentioned here. I took them in when they were very young, and I knew I needed them to succeed with me in politics. And every day I would drill them to believe in themselves. And I told them, like Kwame Nkrumah, Matthew 6:33, paraphrasing, seek ye first the political kingdom, and everything shall be added unto you. Today, to those two young men, if I can call them that way, one of them is Timothy Aseka here, two-term MCA. The other one is Martin Wanyonyi Pepela, the elected MP for Webuye. Because I had to look and see who will do what may not be achievable as a pioneer. Are we together? So have those lessons and know that we are serving a greater cause than just personal, positional, entitlements or proclivities that may only be momentary. Thank you.
So we'll also give you a chance after the two speak to share your stories from where you are. The stories are there, right? Yeah, but we truly appreciate the leadership aspect comes out. You, the leader first, not your disability first. You, the strategist, right? You, the mentor to others. And please, let's document our stories. This will be the story of the disability project in Kenya. So let's carry on. Now, what has come out quite frequently was the issue of funding challenges. There are some who say they did not know how they are meant to do the work. You've just come. You need people to train you. We do have Wambua here. What were we told by Uraia? Where is all their money going to? UP? DK. Now, maybe Bwana Wambua can now tell us what sort of, because I am aware you even give them tools and, you try and strengthen capacity by giving guidelines and tools, but I would want you to expound further so that members understand what does UPK do and how are they benefiting from it or can benefit from it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just to reflect very quickly, and as I answer your question, also building on to Dr. Maura and Maneno's reflections. UDPK is an umbrella organization of persons with disability. We definitely in the advocacy area, and I want to speak on this in terms of representation specific. Just also trying to build on to what Dr. Maura was talking about. Well, one of the things that Uraya supports us to do is to generate data. And data is what guides us in our advocacy. And when I look at the representation, one of the key things that we have been able to do is to conduct post-election audit of those elections with a disability lens. And in 2013, like what Doctor was saying, in 2013, we had 44 counties. We had 4 counties lacked representation of persons with a disability. That meant we had 43 counties with a representation in 2013. The number was very good. Now, coming to 2017, our data was showing that we had 17 counties without representation of persons with disabilities. In 2022, the data was showing that now we have around 22 to 24 counties without representation of persons with the disabilities. One of the key things we were looking to do was to look to cure that recurring problem because the trend lines was showing that they were just going up in lack of representation instead of going down. So we were looking what exactly is the root cause of this. So we had engagement with initially with the IBCs because we were wondering what is this gap and discrepancy around representation. Definitely we have legal and policy framework which needs to be amended, but there is the envisioning of representation in the County Government Act, in the Political Parties Act. So you ask in IBC, we have some leeway in the legal framework. Why are we lacking representation? Because we were looking at it through the nomination lens mostly. So IBC says what we do is we receive nomination lists from political parties, and once we receive it, what we do is when we are publishing who has been nominated, we just pick from number 1 going to 2, going downwards. You don't alter the list, you don't change it. Then we looked at ORPP, ORPP, Office of Registrar of Political Parties, because we were wondering, would the gap be there? So what they said was that once they receive the political parties list, nomination list from IBC, they just verify, are you a bona fide member and such, so they don't do anything. So our case actually was with the political parties, and I think that's an entry point that I think you as leaders and in the county assembly you could you could assist in taking action to. Because when I was doing analysis of the 2022 election was that across all the 86 political parties that participated, actually they over-nominated persons with the disability. We had around 500 to 600 persons with disability in those nomination lists. They had nominated, because you remember ABC, you remember political parties initially they had done a list, they took it to ABC, ABC rejected it, saying you need to be more inclusive. So when it was taken back, political parties nominated a lot of persons with the disability. They did that, that was good. The only problem with that was the placement. You remember ABC says, we are picking from number 1 to 2, going downwards. So because we have rejected our list as Party X, we will nominate a lot of persons with disability, but we will place them strategically, either the last or second last. So nomination was so much, I think 515. But when you look at the party, if the party was nominating 5 people, persons with disability would be number 4 to 5. If you had 7 nomination, you'd have persons with disability number 6 and 7. So the others would be, you know, you're nominated under this SIG with the special interest groups. It would be either youth, women, ethnic, minority, all those 4 categories. So the main gap on this representation, and agreeing with the doctor on also our legal policy framework, one of the things that I think we can do to cure, which could be temporal, is to engage our political party leadership. As leaders, as MCS, is to engage them to be intentional in the nomination, to be very intentional. When you are nominating and you want to nominate a person with a disability, why can't you place them number 1 then? You just place them number 1. That's prioritization. You speak to your party, you speak to your party leadership, and I think that in addition to the changing of legal infrastructure, that could be maybe a remedy, maybe not permanent, but could be a remedy towards this miss and underrepresentation. Another thing, and that actually we had support of Uraya to collect this kind of data and do this kind of analysis in addition to other things. The other thing I just want to mention around still is on data, because we also do, with support of Uraya, some work on data. And I think, Madam Moderator, the question was not the availability of data, because if I need to access persons with the disability data from 2019 census, you can just go to the KNBS portal. You'll be able to see the data. The data is on the internet. I think the major question that Mweshimiwa was raising, or that I think was the major question, was the accuracy of the disability data as we speak. Because WHO and UN, they are saying 16% of any population, they are persons with a disability. Our 2019 census saying we have only 2.2%. So you can see the discrepancy already. So it's about the accuracy. And now the major thing with the data, what we are seeing is that when you go to National Council, registered persons with the disability, does the registration definitely. Now, up to now, they have around 700,000 registered persons with the disability. There's data there. When you go to the KNBS, they are saying is 2.2% disability prevalence rate in Kenya, amounting to 980,000 persons with the disability. If you were to go to IBC, in their post-audit election report, they are saying that 1.8 persons with the disability registered or took part in the last election. 1.8 million. So ideally, we might be having some data being held by different entities in the government that may not necessarily be speaking to one another. And what I've seen is that in some counties, actually in Narok County, what I've seen they have tried to do is that they have tried to, they have included the program of data collection for persons with the disability in their CIDP, in their County Integrated Plan from 2020, the new one, the 2023 to 2027. They have envisioned this program to ensure the county collects this kind of data, and definitely it's authentic because they are going to do it with the body mandated to collect the data. So as one of the best practices also, I think, could be at county level engaging with KNBS, definitely talking about making sure there's a budget for that, and at that level collecting persons with the disability data. KNBS wanted to do a disability survey last year. They wanted to do a disability survey last year. We had issues with the funding because it was running into millions, and I think it has been pushed further. So I think it's a gap county could look and see how they could fill that. My last point, very last point on this is on political parties registration of persons with the disability. And I think this also, as leaders at local level, you could also help in raising awareness and also mobilizing persons with the disability to participate and register as members of political parties. Because if nominations are being done, if committees are being given leadership in those political parties, if the structures are being given leadership and you don't have persons with the disability, they won't be involved in the decision-making process. The problem is that the ORPP, the Registered Political Party, is saying 0.38% of persons with the disabilities have registered in the political parties. The total number of persons who have registered in the political parties is 24 million. So we have only 0.38%, translating to around 200,000. So we don't have a lot of persons with the disability in political parties, and I think it's one of the things that, as leaders at that level, you could also be helping out in pushing our members to participate in this. I want to stop there. Thank you.
You know, they say Kenyans, let's give him a clap. They say Kenyans are averse to, because I remember Uraia would do those surveys and people would be asked, are you a member of political party? If you have disability or not, most people would say no. It was seen to be bad or wrong. But I think with the revolution we've seen of young people, maybe the statistics will change. What I didn't hear you talk about are these tools that I was seeing UPDK develops to support legislators. Would you maybe share a little bit about that before we go to Honorable Chumba?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because one of the major things then is around developing of these knowledge products to support the legislatures or the executive on how to involve persons with the disabilities. And maybe I could just speak to one of the tools you are developing, or we have already developed and engaged and even trained some of the legislatures and also county executive in certain counties is on the guidelines on how to ensure we have inclusive public participation processes. Like when county or county assembly wants to, they have done a bill and they want to call for public participation, how should that look like to ensure then every person in that county, they are able to participate in the process on an equal basis with others? So what criteria, what are those key things you need to ensure? Is it ensuring we have inclusive services like sign language interpretations? Is it about the place you are holding the public participation? Is it accessible to wheelchair users? So we engage several counties, training them on this, and we produce these tools to ensure that in the legislative and in the governance process and in decision-making process, these tools, they help the decision maker to ensure that persons with the disabilities are not left behind. Thank you.
Yes, madam. There's always a challenge coming last to speak. Let me start by saying all is about getting it right. What about getting it right? What do the communities we come from, especially the county assemblies we sit in, how do they perceive persons with disability? How do they perceive us? How do they perceive our sitting in the assembly? Most of the time as persons with disabilities, generally, we've been speaking to ourselves about inclusion. Ask each one of us here, we know what inclusion is, and we are truly working towards it. But what about that next person we sit with in the county assembly who doesn't have a disability? My main point is what should be done by the government, what we are doing today. First, we should mainstream those leaders. For example, the MCS, the executive, because for them, even the executive, if any budget is there for that is meant for to support persons with disabilities, maybe for assistive devices or something, for them, they believe that how watu wamehurumiwa. Even some MCS, in their allocation, their ward fund, they still perceive that wale watu wangu nina the vulnerable. They are just looking at persons with disabilities. And this all goes through right from the electioneering period. When we are not given key positions, the community perceives that these people should settle on less. We always come as an aftermath. People think of us because, is it working? Yes, because people think of us because the law says so. So we give them 5% after settling on everything. This is the problem that has caused even the nominations of other counties missing out. Because they scrambled on this, and someone somewhere believes that these people are not capacitated enough to represent themselves. So they have to be represented. That's why you find people who are nominated to represent persons with disabilities. They believe that they can speak for us more than we can do ourselves. That's why you find even today, whenever we are speaking to the deaf persons, we speak to the sign language interpreter. Because we believe that persons with disability, their reasoning is not as other persons. Their thinking is not like other persons. That's why I started by saying it's about getting it right. It's about sensitizing our communities, mainstreaming them so that whenever we are working together, whenever we are sitting as MCS, they just look at us as MCS, not those people. Are you getting me? In Uasin Gishu County, we missed out in the nomination list. And we said we were battling it in court. I spoke to a friend, sorry, she's late now, Madam Maria Mopondo. She told me, Regina, nami nimetolewa, and let's not try going to court because we are losing it. I told her, we have to fight a battle that we have to leave a mark. We battled in court for 18 good months. People had taken grants, car grants, people had taken loans, people had been sworn in. What happened? The law worked. We thank God that the judiciary systems still work. But it's not a work in the park. It's not. But But my question is, why should we subject our people to such a torture when the law is very clear? When we have opportunities to sit in key positions and say, set aside for these people. Honorable members, I'm sitting here today just to remind us that we are not children of a lesser God. What do I mean? We shouldn't wait for nominations. We shouldn't. We shouldn't. It's my call that all of us who are seated here today, if you are really for representing your people, just contest. You have what it takes. And we should not be scrambling that. A number of us, we are just like, tungoje tunominatiwe. I want, at some point even we have differences amongst ourselves, those who are in the party. Someone is scrambling to be given the first position. When we have a leeway, do you know, in as much as we've not mainstreamed and sensitized our communities, they can see how we can deliver. In Uasin Gishu, we're just 1 year old. Through partnership with organizations, I've done data, accurate data of persons with disability in Uasin Gishu. I know how many are school going, I know how many are deaf, I know how many are skilled. It's about getting when to serve them the right way. But with the little I have, with the little I get, with the little that I lobby, and let me tell you, that when we entered that county assembly, most MCAs were like, mumefanya watu wamekoza nafasi sawa. We were perceived as enemies. But right now, last year when I came in, the first, what I celebrated was on 11th May, I celebrated caregivers on Mother's Day. Those caregivers with children with disabilities. I've celebrated Women's International, all this, we've done this. And some of you can attest, during National Disability Day, Uasin Gishu was the best. It was even much better than the national one. What do I want to say? I want to encourage us and to repeat to say that we have what it takes. It's only about taking a step. At some point, we have to overlook our disability. Our disability is just an entry point. But I want to assure you that if we step ahead, we can do and we can serve our people more than the able-bodied persons. Do you know why? Because one, we've gone through all challenges of life. At some point, we are just here to serve. Do you know these people, you can find a sitting member who doesn't even know, who cannot differentiate between a person with disability and someone who has cancer. They can't. And at some point, even in the social life, they will want to bring all their problems. They just call you in the middle of the night and tell you, I need a wheelchair, where can I get it? When they have the opportunity to budget for it. Thank you so much, and God bless us all.
I'm so happy to hear. This is what we wanted to talk about. As I think the trigger began with the first speaker today. Honorable Kosgei said, please put that disability on the side first. Be you. So, who has any question for the panelists? Because I want to hear stories from the plenary. Is there any challenge somebody feels they have faced that we should probably bring on board and hear how maybe one of them tackled it? Ama tuko sawa? Honorable Njiru, hujasema kitu? Yes?
Okay, thank you very much. I want to ask Honorable Mwaura on something that I had him pushed long time, but it has already gone silent. this on the renewal of our certificates, or our certificates, the 5 years. The permanent disabled people, like those ones that have been cut the limbs can't come back, and yet we are told all the time, we renew, and we already known that when a limb is cut, like a leg or even a hand, it will never come back. That's a permanent back in disability. Why am I told to renew the certificate after every 5 years? Surely. Also, I would also put this one to Honorable Mwaura on this thing that we are calling after the assessment from the hospitals. Like now in every center like Embu, level 5, that's where we go, disability people go every Thursday for assessment. After they are assessed, then there is another interview that has been put across, that is being called vetting. Vetting, centers are put very far away from us. You find a list comes, na mtu ni wa Machakos, alafu you can find him being told to go to Meru or Kisumu. Why can't that vetting be brought very close to us in all the counties, the level 5s, so that all the members that need that facility or need that assessment, that vetting, they can go very close to the facility, because even some of us cannot have means to go where they are being asked to go to, because some of us are very, very much disabled. You find somebody even doesn't have legs, and you expect him to even go to very far, like Kisumu or even Nairobi, and he's from Meru or from Embu, and he cannot even move. We need the services that belong to disability brought very close to them, so that they be assisted.
Thank you. My name is Roslyn Chepto, MCA representing Rongena Manaret, that's Bomet County. Okay, mine is not a question, it's just a concern, and especially for our people able to differently. As we are aware that the main challenge is maybe during nomination, and we are aware the political parties are the one doing the nomination. My concern is that we are aware that some PWDs who fight for the seats, and maybe they try their best to be number 2 or 3. I think they should be given priorities to be nominated, because it is not easy to even stand and fight for that seat, and they use their resources. Another thing is we have so many forums for our people, PWDs in our counties. Also, they should be given time to sit and give out maybe 2 or 3 names for the people who can represent them in their counties. Because you talk of quality, who can come and talk on behalf of others. So I believe if they can be given chance to nominate themselves, that will be another added advantage, so that they can feel they have someone who can stand on their behalf. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. My name is Dolphin. I sit in CAF as the Nyanza cluster representative. I just have a concern. I come from Kisii County, and we are trying to finalize on our PWD policy that we are working on. My main concern is about the persons living with disability, especially the ones on the wheelchairs. Moving around Kisii, it's even hard for someone to even find a place to stay. Why most of the buildings are not PWD friendly. Same to even the government institutions. In my county assembly where I come from, there's no lamp. Like you have to go through the stairs. So what are we doing? I really would want to have an understanding so that as we also go and try and create a policy, I also have an understanding of how we should go about this. You see, we have buildings, including government buildings, where the persons living with disabilities are supposed to go and get services, but they do not have a user-friendly place to go in through. So how do we go about it? That's something I'd want to understand. Thank you.
Yes, so I think, Madam Moderator, Mheshimiwa, that question of tax exemption is a very interesting one, because BBC kojei niamuke siku moja nipate nimebadilisha rangi ya ngozi na nianze kuona. You know, I keep on telling kinaseka hapa tunaona mbili hapa. So you don't expect somebody, at least not those miracles by some shadowy prophets. So that matter has been addressed in the new disability law. So I think it will be resolved. Because I have also had a situation where, when I was in Parliament, I missed my tax exemptions because I had not renewed. I was too busy. You know the kazi ya mheshimiwa. Become so busy, I missed a lot of money. And even when I had been thrown out of the Senate in 2021, when I won the court case, and that's why I agree with Honorable Chumba there, fight in court. That is how Paul Njoroge Ben became a senator after there was a wrong nomination. Yeah? So that's also how I was able to be reinstated as a senator when I had been thrown out by Jubilee Party, which had discriminated me because they had not taken action on other people, but for me they found a weak link. So it is important that we use the law as a means, not as an end. I think sometimes that is where the problem is. Don't look at the law because it is there. You are the one to activate that law and breathe life into it. Are we together, my people? So the law gives you justification. The policy gives you the reason. But you must be the activator. We have to continuously be activists, even when we are in the assembly, in parliament, because we are the advocates. The other question was about? The assessment, yes. Yes, the vetting, the assessment, the boards. I think that's a good concern. The National Council should pick it up. I think UPDK, you're here. UDPK, and also, by the way, it's good to say, Uraya was my first employer after campus. Yeah, so I was a civic education program officer at UDPK, even before I graduated. So I'm happy that Uraya is still doing a good job. Under Kreko, right? Yeah, under Kreko. So that was way back in 2007. So let us UDPK and CAF raise that matter because I think it's a question of how they schedule. However, there is justification in vetting because now that people know that persons with disabilities are tax exempt, the council was able to discover that there were many people with fake cards. They were manufacturing them in River Road, and they were actually being exempted. One of the things that I have also been dealing with, even now as a government spokesperson, and by the way, that is your office, because I mean, it's the most visible of a person with disability. Please, let's work together. I keep on dealing with people who are at 58 years, ndio mtu anakuja kuitisha nini? Exemption, ati ni mlemavu. So the law is, and the regulations are, at 58, kama uko una benefit, sio tu mara moja umeamuka umekuwa mlemavu, you want 5 more years, it is never approved. So tell people, because again, it is subject to abuse. And Kenyans can be quite crafty. Otherwise, utapata mtu akisema ni mlemavu na hayuko. You know? And that is it. I had an experience in Parliament that was not very good. So I founded KEDIPA, but we had members who, on paper, they were disabled, but they never ever came to our meetings. So it is easy for you to benefit, but you don't associate. You don't caucus. So you don't want to have legal persons with disabilities because they fit the description, but they don't live the experience. Because when you live the experience, then, as the MCA from Bomet, I think you said, it's not just enough to have a person with disability. Does that person represent persons with disabilities? So that's why I agree with you that those who come number 2 should be considered for nomination if they don't make it. And I'm very happy because I think that's exactly what happened to our chair, Madam Beatrice Mitaru, who I actually think won. Alirigiwa huyu. Huyu alikuwa ameshinda huyu. Unajua hii siasa ya nomination, by the way, nomination ni kichinjio. Nomination ni mbaya sana. Si nimeenda mara 2. Hizo nominations, they are very bad. And I'll say this without flinching as a government spokesperson. I even introduced a bill in Parliament called the Party Primaries Bill, which was supposed to cure the issues of nominations. And it was very progressive, very popular. But what happened? After I had been kicked out of the Senate, that bill was copy-pasted into the political parties' act amendments. But then they left out very crucial provisions that would have made our nominations to be within the confines of the law, because right now they are not. So it's important. However, on the issue of funding, and I would want to invite Honorable Maneno here, you can comment, Ochumba. Number 1, politics is not for the faint-hearted. Kama umeingia siasa na kawaishe, sorry, my brother, my sister. You have to fight. And these battles are vicious. And they can be very destructive. The kind of battles I have had to fight myself. Don't just see a rosy photo. Take time, you come and sit with me. Nimepigana vita. There was a time I was facing a whole president and a former prime minister who had said I will never see the inside of parliament again. But I fought with the help of God. I went back to that parliament. So don't just think that you just appear there and say that because you are disabled that utapatiwa raisi. No, you will be given tackle. And people realize that you are brilliant, you are gifted, you are talented. Then they will rise because it's a competition for power. You know, it's not a child's game. So know what yourself into. Because you are also getting to power and privilege. You know, so be ready for it. And be ready to weather the storm because eventually you become out stronger. On the issue of funding, that is why we have AGPO, access to government procurement opportunities. I am a strong proponent of persons with disabilities becoming business people. Yeah. Because in politics, you have 3 things. Either you have the power of the gap, unaozungumza, either you have people on your side, and whether you have money. And when you say people on your side, it means you have good organizational skills. Actually, there are 5 types of loyalties. Let me teach you. Allow me, because we are in this.
As we also answer her question,
Yes.
What does Kisii need to do for the infrastructure? Okay.
So the issue about loyalty. So if you have the people will be with you. If you have some talent, people will be with you because you have something you're offering, some expertise of sorts. If you are a good mobilizer, if you are good in a certain field, people will be with you. If you have family connections, they are also very important. Tusidanganyane, they work. And if you belong to a certain social group, also that works. Wale mlisoma na wao ndio wanaongoza serikali, it works. Na kuna ingine ambao sitaki kusema hapa, I lest be accused of things. Wacha niachie hapo. Your guess is as good as mine. However, money plays a key role in politics. Now, there are only 2 sources of money. Either you have it yourself or you get sponsored. When you are a good candidate, you are likely to be sponsored. And I can tell you, for me, I have been sponsored before. Not for the main election, for the nominations. Because sometimes those nominations are actually the main election in certain strongholds. So if you win the Wiper ticket in, say, in Makueni, you are as good as elected. If you win the UDA ticket in 2022 in Central, you are as good as elected. ODM the same. So the nominations are very important, by the way. Don't ignore them. However, it is good to have your own money, my dear brother, my dear sister. And Uraya will not give you money to go and campaign. The only thing they can teach you is how to be a good candidate and how to follow the law. But in politics, I'm sorry to say this, Mr. Wambua, siasa ifanyikangi kwa ile ya kitabu utabaki ukishangaa hapo. Politics is like going to a mutura joint. Unajua mutura? Ile nyama ya ile ya ng'ombe ile yakatwa hivi. The African sausage. It's like going to a mutura joint with a fork and knife because you have manners. When others are using their bare knuckles, they are using their hands. Utabaki na hiyo uma yako na kisu kikatakata hapo. It's a very rough game. And if we don't tell you that, you know it anyway. Some of you know that very well. So look for money, have a good budget, and balance between your personal growth, where you have something for yourself. I hope by now you've taken your mortgage so that if you didn't have a house, you have somewhere you are building or you have bought, because that's the only thing that remains when you are down in this office. And then you get yourself your car. But after 4 years, it's likely to be a wreck. But get it. Because mheshimiwa bila gari sengine ni aibu. Get these two. But if you can also do business, my dear brother, my dear sister, do it. So that you invest for your family and you have money for campaigns. Otherwise, our politics are PPP. Poverty producing politics. Many of the waheshimiwas that are out of office are paupers. Because you give so much that you end up becoming poor like your electorate. Now, when it comes to Kisii, I think there's a big issue. It's a land issue. That is why we have the affordable housing, because if we don't do it well, we are actually building rural slums. That I can tell you. I have flown over Kisii, and it's one of the most densely populated places. But it's not an answer that I can give directly, because I think if you look at the old Disability Act sections 21-24, we've not yet managed to implement it as well, so that you have accessible, built environment. That is really, really a challenge. However, there is hope. We must continuously keep on improving on our environment, maybe having a county disability act that speaks to it, and also ensuring that we do it, because a former president of Ecuador, which is a very mountainous area, very mountainous, I met him in 2018 in London, was actually a person on a wheelchair, but he had been elected president. So it is possible to make ways in which those who are on wheelchair can still be able to thrive and get access to government services and opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So any remarks as we close? Bwana Wambua?
Yeah. Let me make my...
Now we do it one minute.
Yeah, sure.
But it's just a minute. There was a hand up at the back. Maybe you'd want to raise your question so that we just wind up. So we close with the resolutions. There was a hand up, or there were two.
My name is Rose Kasioka Kathoka from Kitui County. Mine is like an observation, really a question. We encourage the PWDs to apply for jobs, especially for CCM jobs and CEOs jobs, because nobody will come at home to pick you up and give you a job. Number two, on the nominations, I was requesting if it is possible, as my sister said here, when somebody is number two, we cannot all fit in nominations to be MCAs. Can we have a MOU with our governors, with our associated with our political parties, so that they can give us, the people with disability, the first priority to get the jobs, maybe the directors or CEOs? That was my observation.
It has been it has been mentioned severally So I think there's consensus on that, and it's a good one. Thank you. The next person was at the back. I think there were two, right? Or three? Was there anyone else before we bring the mic back? Macha? Okay, I believe we'll have time to interact with the panelists, so take advantage of that over tea, even as we close out, engage with them. But let's go back to Bwana Wambua. Your reflections on, you remember there were many questions asked in case any was not answered, and your closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to add on to what Doctor was saying on Kisii, on the issue of accessibility. Definitely, this has been it's an issue throughout the country on built environment accessibility. The Persons with the Disability 2003, on the sections on 24, they're talking about the issues of accessibility. So my insight, when you develop the act or the policy you are doing, when you go to the section you are doing accessibility, what you need to be careful is on the enforcement mechanism. Like we have it in 2003, but what we were lacking, or what we are lacking, is the enforcement mechanism. The 2003 actually is given the body mandated for issues of disability to issue what we call in adjustment orders. If your building is not accessible, they should come here and tell you in 3 months we need you to make it to be accessible. If you don't, then we issue the orders, you need to change, they start. But they have not been able to do that. I think the reason has been that there are no regulations for us that will guide us on issuing these regulation orders. So when you do your policy or act, then you need to be very careful in that aspect, on accessibility, on enforcement of the accessibility. And right now, what has happened is that the Kenya Bureau of Standards, they have developed what we call the KS 2952 Built Environment Accessibility Standards. These are the standards that every building should meet for it to be accessible. So in your policy, you might think about quoting such standards that are existing, and also looking keenly on the enforcement mechanism on meeting those standards, including our new building code 2024, which is also talking about the issue of accessibility. On Bomet, and this is my last final comment, is on the nominating the person who has been number 2. I think that has been very clear, and it's doable, but it's still on the party level, right? Is the party nomination guidelines, for example, that needs to change to reflect that. That may not rise to the amendments of the Political Parties Act, and I think it's on the party level. So you as members of the party, definitely then you are able to influence the changes of political parties nomination guidelines to anticipate such happening. Thank you. That would be my last input.
Okay, I have 2 points to make. One, my message goes to CAF. It's my humble request that you partner with the National Council for Persons with Disabilities to make sure that all the 47 county assemblies are mainstreamed. Because we're just speaking to ourselves, and we have a better knowledge on inclusion and inclusivity, whereas those whom we are together have little knowledge about it. That's why sometimes we feel that they discriminate us, whereas they really don't know what they are supposed to do with us. They're just sympathizing, or they're just doing their own perception. And then my second call is to all of us, the MCS, be nominated or elected, the special elect and the elected, is that let's aspire for much. Let's strive to get those key decision-making positions. And let's not forget that it's not only us who have disabilities and have this mind on political representation. So my call also is that let's mentor others. There are those who want to aspire. Let's not be selfish. Let's help them. And let's not settle for less. I want to let you know that personally, come 2027, God willing, I'll be aspiring for the women rep position was in Gishu County. Thank you.
At least that's an actionable point. So, ladies and gentlemen, tutasimama kidogo, but I wanted you to take this opportunity to thank you so much, dear panelists, Honorable Maneno, Dr. Mwaura, Bwana Wambua, na Honorable Chumba. You took the challenge to come on stage, and you have poured a lot of experience and wealth. That is why we are being asked to just chaka-chanka. Is it called chaka-chaka? Just get it done. Stand up and get it done. So, in solidarity with that motto, we want to stand, stretch a bit, because we've come to the final bit of the session. As you stand, you could clap for my... Si mumepata my information? Yeah, I think I want to thank all these panelists and, of course, to CAF for organizing this. And so we are going to shift to the next phase. So there are resolutions to be read. So for my panelists, I don't know if you want to sit back there to sikilize vizuri. We invite the vice chair. So thank you so much. When you wanasikia wamestretch ya kutosha, DJ sasa ndangeka music kidogo for better stretching. Maneno manguka na simu. I have been listening to your statements and discussions since morning, and they have been documented. And so we are giving him a chance to read out the resolutions for your, what is the word? Consideration or what? For your information, and I'm sure inputs, I don't know the protocols of CAF. So let's give the Vice Chair a chance to read those out. Oh, and they are being beeped. I hope everyone can see.
Thank you. Because you are using this. Yes. Yes, I'm okay. Thank you, our moderator of the day. Very wonderful day. Honorable members, good evening. So I'm going to read our resolutions for the day. We have contributed a lot that will take us far, honorable members, and I want to go straight to read. Pre-summit theme: advancing accountability, empowering legislators with disabilities for effective oversight and representation on 14 March 2025. Our resolutions: inclusivity, that the county assemblies apply universal design principles to legislation, ensuring policies proactively consider accessibility and inclusivity. In order to deal with bureaucratic discrimination, inclusivity must speak to the budgeting. The needs of the person with disability, legislatures should be given equal opportunity as the rest. This should go a long way in compiling and achieving the constitutional provision of 5% employment. That the county assemblies adopt inclusive leadership by empowering persons with disability and equitable resources allocation to ensure their full participation in governance, fostering policies that uphold accessibility, dignity, and equal opportunities for all. Legislation. That the Parliament amends the 2003 Disability Act to provide for extension of the retirement age of persons with disabilities from 60 to 65 years, provide for caregivers and their facilitation and other emerging disability issues, therefore remodeling the scope of budgeting on PWD's matters. That the county assemblies oversight on implementation of national and county laws on disabilities. That the county assemblies prioritize development and enactment of County Disabilities Act and policies. Capacity building. CAP engages Uraya and other institutions for capacity building and mainstreaming of disability initiative within the government space. Partnerships. That county assemblies establish caucuses of minorities at the county levels to promote, push, advocate for inclusion of persons with disabilities, development, caregiver. That CAP initiates and intensifies intergovernmental membership and succession initiative to bring more persons with disabilities leaders that are qualified. Limited resources. That CAP lobbies for resources to support the disabilities agenda. That's all, honorable members. I don't know if the speaker on that was so that to confirm. If we have a speaker to come to put those who have other opinions, welcome. And to put a question. So let us clap for our vice chair.
Excuse me, members, there is one of our resolution which is missing in the list. Actually, we had said that they should review the SHA rule when they are deducting, instead of deducting from the net gross, from the gross, they first of all remove the 150 which is already exempted. So that one is missing. It should be added there. Thank you.
So welcome, speaker. Come and put a question. So thank you, Chair, for that. So can we amend that? So let the speaker amend.
Good afternoon. Our rapporteurs, are we correcting that? Could we just put it in the screen so that, okay. Okay, let's give them just a minute. Let's be patient. As we are waiting, honorable members, I have been with you since morning. Right now, I'm feeling the spirit now is up there. We started on a very low note. My friends right now are smiling. I want this smiling face. You know, when you smile, you get the positive of life. Sindio? So let's embrace the positivity that we are the ones who are going to change. Are we promising each other that we are going to be the starters of the change? How many of us? Yes, 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 yes. So let's say that we are going to be the starters of the change. We are going to be the starters of the change. Yes, we are not going to wait for anyone to come to change, to bring us change. Sindio? So there we have the resolutions that the statutory deduction of SHA and house levy should be deducted after the exemption of the 150. Is that correct? So could we get a member to explain, just one person to? That one is correct. So Honorable Madam Chair,